Things are absolutely blowing up. Something is happening inside the Seattle Seahawks organization, and not enough people are realizing just how big this turnaround is about to be. I'm Matt Coleman, and what we just saw in that last game, that wasn't just a win, it was a warning shot. We're talking a vet who just flipped the script on this defense, an injury that could totally shake up our protection, a rookie who looks like he's from another planet, and a silent move behind the scenes that nobody is talking about, but it could change the future of this franchise. Stick with me to the end, because the real truth behind all this, it hasn't come out yet. Man, that was one of those performances that makes even the most cynical vets jump off the couch and scream like it's 2013 all over again. DeMarcus Lawrence didn't just shine. He set the field on fire and reminded everyone what a dominant Seattle defense truly means. 2 defensive touchdowns in one game. That's the kind of stuff that sounds like an urban legend, but it just happened. And the crazy part? Both came off fumbles forced by Tyrese Knight, the rookie who played like he had that old Legion of Boom blood running through his veins. When Lawrence said before the game that he wanted to turn the lights out on every offense, nobody thought he meant it literally. On Sunday, he turned Lumen Field into a total blackout for the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, the 44-22 scoreboard says a lot, but how it happened says even more. Lawrence, at 33 years old, after 11 seasons in Dallas, he showed everyone that experience is still a lethal weapon. His game reads, his explosion off the snap, it felt like the prime of Michael Bennett and Cliff Avril, ghosts that still haunt the 12s. And Mike Macdonald knew what he had when he brought him here. A leader who is hungry to prove he's still the alpha. The coach even joked, "When I saw the second touchdown, I just thought, no way. Again? Oh yeah, it was possible and it was epic." Lawrence is now only the 4th player in NFL history to score 2 fumble return TDs in the same game. What this means for Seattle goes beyond the record book. It's the symbol of a defense that finally gets Macdonald's identity. Focus, aggression, and opportunism. Knight and Lawrence, man, that's a duo that could change the season. Kinda like when a young KJ Wright started blowing up next to Bobby Wagner. What if this new defensive pairing is the start of another legendary era? With Clint Kubiak's offense finally clicking and the defense stealing the show again, it really feels like something is about to reignite in the Pacific Northwest. But can this energy survive the test of the next few weeks? Especially with the hits we're taking on the offensive line? Because, my friend, the trouble brewing at center, that's about to mess with everything. Look, when the news dropped about Jalen Sundell's injury, the whole vibe in Seattle changed instantly. That win over Arizona was dominant, sure, but losing our starting center brought this uncomfortable silence, like everyone knew something big was about to be tested. Now, the ball is in the hands, or better, under the hands of Olu Oluwatimi, the second-year guy who already had that roller coaster of a starting job back in 2024, now has the chance to completely rewrite his story. Sundell was playing solid, man, hadn't given up a single sack all season, and he was the anchor for a line that was finally working as one unit. With him out for weeks, Mabel even heading to IR, Oluwatimi has to prove he learned from the past. The challenge is twofold. First, keep Sam Darnold clean in a Clint Kubiak offense that thrives on rhythm and precision. And second, make sure the run game doesn't lose its flow. The good news? He's not totally alone. Christian Haynes, the rookie out of Connecticut, is expected back on the active roster, beefing up that interior depth. Haynes has that raw power and technique to be a bulldozer in power run situations, and Macdonald knows he's got to use those pieces well. What worries me is the timing. The stretch of games we have now includes some heavy, aggressive defenses, and this O-line sync is going to be tested to the absolute limit. Oluwatimi is more technician than Mahler, which could be good if he can identify blitzes and adjust the protection pre-snap, something Sundell just did, like it was second nature. Then there's the mental game. Swapping O-linemen messes with the QB's confidence, the cadence of the whole system. The real question floating around is whether this offense, which was just becoming this precise machine, is going to keep that tempo or just stumble now that its central pillar is gone. And while all the spotlights are on the protection, the other side of the ball is heating up. We've got a rookie on defense who's starting to get national attention and who, according to McDonald, might be his new unicorn. But is Nick Emenwari really ready to take on a role that reminds us of the monsters, the legends, of the Legion of Boom? Nick Emenwari might be young, but he plays like he's lived through every single battle of the Legion of Boom. Mike McDonald called him a defensive unicorn, and man, that is not just hype. The kid is 6'3", 227 pounds, playing in the slot, in the box, and still moving with the fluidity of a corner. Against the Arizona Cardinals, he showed off everything the coach saw back in Baltimore with Kyle Hamilton. Versatility, instincts, and a football IQ that is just that. Way beyond his years. We're talking 4 passes defensed, half a sack, and a presence that changed how the opposing offense behaved. McDonald is molding Emenwari to be the prototype for his new defense. Hybrid, unpredictable, and relentless. There's something symbolic about this. The Seahawks, who built their legend on a dominant secondary, might be witnessing the birth of a whole new defensive chapter. When a coach says the game is slowing down for a rookie, that's the sign. That's when you know he's seeing the field at the right speed. And Emenwari, besides the physical gifts, he has that. He reads routes, he anticipates throws, and he attacks like a vet. Some teammates are saying behind the scenes that he sniffs out the snap. That's how good his anticipation is. You just... It's a bow. You get clear echoes of Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas and how he positions himself and reacts, and that hits you right in the feels if you're an old school 12, the kind who still remembers the sound of the impact back in the boom era. Look, I know it's early, but you can't help but feel that nostalgia. McDonald, methodical as always, is already training him in multiple spots: box, slot, and eventually deep safety. This opens up infinite tactical possibilities, especially with our next opponent on the horizon, the Los Angeles Rams, who are back to using 3 tight end sets on almost half their snaps. And that's where Emenwari could be the X factor. A hybrid who can neutralize both the air attack and the physical game from Sean McVay. This defense is growing up. If Lawrence was the symbol of veteran fury, Emenwari represents the future. But while the team is finding these new impact pieces, there's a quiet move happening behind the scenes that could change the defensive rotation right in the trenches. And the name involved, it might fly under the radar, but it could make all the difference in the coming weeks. With Jaron Reed out and the D-line rotation looking thin, the Seattle Seahawks had to move fast, and that's exactly what they did by bringing back a familiar face from training camp, Wykevious Bubba Thomas. Yeah, the rookie from South Alabama is landing on the practice squad. But don't be fooled. This move is more strategic than it looks. Thomas is the kind of player who doesn't pop on the stat sheet, but he delivers consistency, good reads, and one thing McDonald values like gold: durability. We're talking 64 straight games in college, 4-time All-Sun Belt, and that physical, old-school style. He's a get-your-jersey-dirty kind of tackle who doesn't show up in the highlights. At 6'2", 303 pounds, he's got just enough strength to eat up double teams and free up the linebackers. Exactly the kind of piece you need to keep the tactical structure stable. And at this point in the season, with the defense finding its identity again, every inch on the line matters. Thomas got cut after the preseason, but he left a good impression. 7 tackles in 3 games, and an energy the locker room remembered. Now, with Reed on IR, this is his golden opportunity to prove he's more than just a P-squad name. And McDonald knows how to develop guys like this. Just look at what he did with Calais Campbell and Justin Madubuike in Baltimore, turning role players into cornerstones. And check this out. The Seahawks also worked out corner Tyler Hall and guard Nick Leverett, both vets with brief stints in the league. This shows the front office is thinking ahead, keeping the roster ready for anything. stocking up on plug-and-play guys in case another injury wave hits. This attention to detail is the kind of thing that separates a team that's just rebuilding from one that's maturing and ready to actually fight. If you look closely, you see the pattern: veteran experience, promising youth, and depth, all being woven together. You think that's an accident? It's not. The 2025 Seahawks are starting to show they have a plan, and that plan might just shock a lot of people in the next few weeks. But the big question that's left is this: is this quiet reconstruction leading us back to glory, or is it just masking weaknesses we haven't seen exposed yet? Something is changing in Seattle, and it's not just the names on the roster. Every single week, it feels like the Seahawks are putting together a puzzle where every piece reveals more than it seems. DeMarcus Lawrence brought back the pride to this defense. Olu Oluwatimi just got a second chance to prove he can anchor the offense. Nick Emenwari symbolizes Mike McDonald's hybrid future, and Wykebius Thomas shows that even the small moves have a real purpose. It's all of it pointing in one direction: the rebirth of an identity. The question is whether this rebirth is for real, or if it's just an illusion. This Seahawks team is still fluctuating between the solidness of a team that learned from its scars and the inconsistency of one that's still searching for a new peak. There is something big brewing in the Pacific Northwest, something that could give the 12s that feeling of invincibility that only the boom era ever really gave us. But will this flame survive the cold that's coming? And I'm asking you old school 12s out there, do you feel it? Do you really feel like this team is becoming feared again?